play safe, play what they know, and just try and win standard games. If SoA wants sneaky points, then cheeky drafts, now is the time to do them against SPT. Just play pure counter to their own style. Try and force them to either show something, or force them to give over points.
Yeah, and unfortunately the only part of the statistics table here that is being taken over by SoA is the middle one, but bad news for SoA fans out there, that is kills on deaths on average per game. So yeah, that's the only bar you don't want to be longer than your opponent's ones.
Yeah. But as you can see here, SoA have done pretty consistently well against everyone. RPG, who have been the issue that SPT have had in the past. So once again, transference property, which just doesn't exist in Heroes at this point, says that they could be even. KT have performed relatively well. The One are pretty high up in the table. Well, they're able to take games. They're able to take series. Well, actually, taking series is a little bit more difficult for them. But there is a chance, as you can see, when they first played against each other, there was a 1-1 involved.
Yeah, it's very important to remind you guys that SPT is not an unbeatable titan that has never fallen to anyone else in the league. They did show signs of weakness before. They dropped maps to teams like Hod's Lady. They dropped maps to teams like SoA in the previous phase. So that should really ignite a spark of hope for SoA, because it's not like they can't beat them. It's just going to be very, very hard. And already SPT takes us to Battlefield of Eternity, and now we know what to do, Tetcher. Which hero do we ban against SPT?
It's gonna be Valor, because otherwise you're gonna die. Genji would be the other option, because you like your fountains to stay alive. Either way, no matter what, this is a 100% win rate versus a 0% win rate. Whose idea was this?
Apparently SoA gave over the map call because they wanted to have first pick, first ban, so...
Did SoA ban Dragonshire? Because that's the only reasoning that this map is even in the pool. I mean, the other map that SPT have a 100% win rate on.
There's only so much you can ban away from SPT, unfortunately, so eventually they would have to face them on an unfavorable battleground. But it's not like, once again, it's not like, you know, SoA doesn't stand a chance. It's just that those chances are very slim. But we're going to pay special attention to that draft, because maybe they're going to take away the Genji, they're going to ban it out, or maybe even first pick it. They do have that luxury here, SoA that is. And in the past, we've seen players like TY actually performing admirably well on the Genji, so Genji's definitely a hero that can work wonders no matter which team uses it in China.
Yep, so here's the question. Which one do you prioritize? TAS, Genji, Valor? They ban Genji. Now the correct reaction here would be to first pick Tassadar or first pick Valor, depending on what's banned. Looks like SPT are going to start off with an Ariel ban.
Yep.
Now if you want to focus down Merly C, then just straight up pick Tassadar right now. This is the correct way to do it, which kind of forces him onto one of his SPT heroes. He has many which are still completely reasonable. For example, Medivh would be exceptional. And remember, the match that SPT won in the first week, I'm pretty sure was actually against SoA on this map with Medivh and the Cho'Gall comp.
Yeah, oh my goodness, that was quite the pleasure to behold, the Cho'Gall Medivh. Now, with Ariel out of the way, it's not like a Cho'Gall comp is unplayable. There's still other supports that work really well, like Uther or Rhaegar. But Auriel, of course, is the baby girl that you really want to have when playing the Mighty Ogre.
Yeah. Okay, it was not that first week, but it still has happened in the past. So, in fact, the last time they played, they didn't even play a Battlefield. There's the TAS. So far, solid drafting by SoA. I am, at the moment, proud. And remember, the last time they did play against each other, the map that SoA won was not Battlefield, obviously, it was Sky Temple, but it was almost as a direct result of them stealing Tassadar and not giving Genji over.
Lord Tetra nods in silent approval, and so do I, because normally I'm not always happy when, you know, no matter which series in China you watch these days, there's always a Tassadar with high priority. However, in this very case, I think it's an excellent decision. One, Melody C plays a fantastic Tassadar. It's one of his comfort picks. B, with the Tassadar away, you basically shut down Quan Zhao a little bit at least, because he still is going for that Vala, but without those Tassadar shields, he becomes a little bit more manageable, let's put it this way.
Yeah, and the Tyrael's going to be a little bit of extra protection as well, so they're going to have some solid tankiness here, depending on who is playing the Tyrael. This is also a kind of bait for the potential of them going for that Cho'Gall comp, but that begs the question as to why they would have banned out the Ariel as their first ban.
I also think that Tyrael is a fantastic precaution measure for potential Malthael plays. I mean, Malthael is a force to be reckoned with here on Battlefield of Eternity. His percentage damage scales against the Immortals very nicely. He's a good soul laner to begin with, but going for that Tyrael Tetcher allows you to basically counter him before he's even picked.
Malthael's another hero who was actually in that composition that SoA beat SPT with the last time. So that's an excellent point. Memories are being had, and it's being remembered. Instead, we see the Grey Mane coming in for now. Just double support, double doggo, and a very solid solo damage dealer if they do want to go for a solo damage dealer and a single tank.
Yep.
Sorry, a double tank solo damage dealer, or if they could in theory go for a solo tank and a double damage dealer.
Yeah, the ETC now being hovered over as a ban, I don't really mind it too much. I think ETC has a lot of zoning potential, a lot of protection potential as well when it comes to really keeping the enemy team at bay for your Immortal, but I'm not sure if they should even consider banning the Malthael, because we said earlier that the Sanctification is just a wonderful counter. I mean, there's still a lot of respect to be had for Malthael, don't get us wrong. Like, there's still the chance of them chipping down the Immortal faster because of Malthael's percentage damage. He's a very uncomfortable opponent to face no matter how many counters you have in the first place. So I don't mind it too much, I just don't think it was really necessary.
So second with the Malthael band. Yeah, like you said, the Tyrael would have been able to counter it, but if Tyrael has already had to use Sank for whatever reason, it's still reasonable to do so.
It's also worth mentioning, I think, that SPT is not really known for playing a lot of Malthael themselves, so maybe they were like, Misaka doesn't really feel comfortable in the hero, Soap is probably going to play the Tyrael anyway, so let's go for something more comfort and deny the Malthael just altogether, so we don't even have to face it. Now, Arthas being picked away, or banned away, I should say, and that makes a lot of sense, because if you guys were watching the amount of damage and utility Misaka brought to the table on that Arthas, it was just astounding, and I can totally understand that you do not want to face him on that hero.
It's true. Very true indeed. So, SPT. They have the Valor, they have a good sort of support, a little bit of protection. They can afford to go solo support now if they want to.
Yeah, in fact, I would love to see it, to be honest. I really would love to see it. I don't think you have to go double support now. Tassador is gone anyways. Maybe with a Tyrande, though. Tyrande on this Battlefield of Eternity battleground is very powerful for many reasons right now. The owls are very easy to land. It's normally very predictable to where the enemy team's at. The battleground is also very small, so there's only so much room to dodge. And of course, we can't forget about the Hunter's Mark.
Yeah, Hunter's Mark onto that Immortal gives you great race potential. Instead, we do see the Karazim to start. Now, the fact is, this does not disqualify Tyrande. In fact, ETC Tyrande is a classic combo of lockdown potential that can have a great effect.
Yeah, actually played in Korea a lot. Whenever I watch HGC Korea, at least one of the teams goes for ETC plus Tyrande. They really like chaining their stuns together with those early aggression plays. You know, as Tetra said, not out of the realms of possibility just yet. Let's focus on SoA, though. What could they? They definitely still need a main tank. They could go for something like Muradin. There's not a whole lot of, you know, super good main tanks left available. Anubarak has fallen off in popularity in China a lot, so I don't expect him to come out there.
True. Where has Anubarak gone?
I don't understand, to be honest. Yeah.
Like, Tassadar on their team. They could get away with it in this game. Like, the other heroes, Li Ming still fit in for SPT, so never mind. Scrap that. The Anubis does not really fit here, so they need at least a tank. Muradin, there it is, and a Sonya. So they go for that double front line, double support, and one and a bit, well, I will say 2 total, because we can count Tassadar as a bit damage dealers there. So pretty solid lineup for SoA so far.
I gotta say, in terms of damage and raw damage output, SoA is more than well equipped to really, you know, bring the pain to SPT. The Sonya you said, Tetra, the Rhaegar, and even the Tassadar in Arcan form after level 10 is going to be quite threatening here. Now, that last pick for SPT is going to be so interesting because, as we said earlier, there's a couple of options left for them available. They could go for a secondary full support, which is something I personally wouldn't like to see too much. They could go for a sort of hybrid with Tyrande, or they could go for another assassin like flat out altogether. Even the likes of Thrall, is not totally impossible, but even likes of even a mage. Come on, let's get it straight here.
They could take a bit of a mix, like you mentioned. Mage Li Ming would be work, but if they wanted to mix all of that together, I would go back to the classic Medivh situation we've been having. But no, they stick with that mage. Li Ming poke potential on this map, gonna have a blast. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, I don't think I can say anything negative about either of the team comps, to be honest. I think we have a very healthy approach in terms of, you know, balancing it out between damage and protection on both sides. SoA going for a little bit more Chinese classic with those Tassadar double support, whereas SPT, they still have a lot of protection available with that Tyrael, as you said, but also not neglecting the damage output, the poking, the single target DPS against Immortals either.
I'm trying to think, like, the poke potential for SoA isn't very good. It's definitely better for SPT.
Yeah.
But, like you said, the team fight potential is very good for SoA. It's just a question of sanctification could counter it.
I think there's going to be a lot of responsibility on the Tyrael's shoulder, but that's basically the case for any game he's involved in, right? Your timing needs to be on point. You cannot afford to get interrupted while trying to get the sanctification going. You need to have spot-on timing. And there is a lot of pressure on his backline there, for sure, with heroes like Rayman in the mix on the side of SoA, with the strong sustain they have. So, who would you give sway to? Which draft do you like a little bit better?
I really do think that the Tyrael's a deciding factor here. There's very little chance of SPT messing this up because they're so good on the heroes. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into game number 1 of SPT versus SoA. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Battlefield of Eternity, and on the left, it is Super Perfect Team with Chen Zhao playing the Valor, Melody C on the Li Ming, Misaka on the ETC, Soap on the Tyrael, and ZZH is playing the Karazin.
And on the right-hand side, in the reds, we see SoA start over again with Fei on the Sonya, Uncle G on the Rehgar, TY on the Greymane, Murden's being played by SparkBZ, and Molly goes for the Tassadar. So, as we begin the game, we do see an Aether Walker coming in for Li Ming, getting that mobility for the map. If you combine it with Illusionist later on, and you can basically traverse the map far quicker than a mounted hero can, which is actually quite fun without spending any mana. Yeah, kind of cool to see. Now we also see a Templar's Will build from Tassadar. A long time no see. For the most part, Tassadar players these days have shifted over towards the so-called Psystorm build, which gives you a lot more wave clear, a lot more zoning control with the damage later on and the double storms. But in this particular scenario, I don't actually hate it too much. It's actually going to empower the Tassadar auto attacks a lot. It's going to give Tassadar way more solo damage later on after completing the quest against the Immortal as well. So I'm down for it. I'm down for it.
I'm okay with it as well. We also see the Perfect Storm coming in from the Muradin here, who is currently getting his ass beat, but he's able to leap away without taking too much damage. And of course, he's able to heal it up thanks to his trait. He could, of course, combine this with the Sledgehammer. That spear was very close. He could, of course, combine this with the Sledgehammer later on, but we see that so rarely these days.
Yeah.
But there's always a chance.
There's always a chance, for sure. Something I also think is worth mentioning at China at least. Hold on, SparkBZ jumping over, landing the Stormbolt, but not enough follow-up damage here. Also, don't want to dive in too deep. But when it comes to following Chinese Karazin play, then it is worth mentioning that a lot of support players sometimes, especially on Battlefield of Eternity, like to go for an inside build because it's relatively easy to stack those up. For now, though, we see the classic Iron Fist build makes a lot of sense if you want to have more damage, and especially when you have someone like Tyrael in the mix who can also provide additional protection anyways.
TY poking down Soap. It's Fei coming around from the side, though. Going to be able to assist, but TY is getting focused. Good walk and escape, though, as ZZH decides he does not want to chase as it's too risky. Puts himself in a really rough position here.
No.
And
Locked
in! Can he do it? He's body blocking. And
oh!
the ZZH survives, but finally gets taken out. Muradin for ZZH there as FaZe is in full retreat, making it a 2-for-1 in favor of SPT.
If only there had been one more basic attack, that Karzim would have gotten blown out of his socks. It was so close, but yet so far for SoA. Very unfortunate. I think if Karzim had died earlier, they wouldn't have had to lose all of their team members. As a result, though, still Greymane dealing a lot of damage and almost tied in terms of overall Immortal progress. So I think if I were SoA, I would just ignore it. I would just try to weaken down the enemy Immortal as much as you can, and then minimize the damage you're about to take. Look at SPT, though.
SPT had a similar idea, though. They're actually going for a bit of a delay tactic, too, which is kind of working for Molly. It's going to give him more stacks. Speaking of which, Molly, is the main assassin player, is the one playing the Tassadar here, so interested to see how that is executed. But SPT grabbed the Immortal with a just under half Immortal shield there, which will begin moving its way down to the bot lane. No Tyrael to assist this, no sacrification, so that's not such a big deal here. They just need to, we just need to see so be careful to not get locked down by that ETC.
That was actually really well played by Misaka and Soap on the two warriors here, really delaying and preventing a lot of damage dealt by the Greymane and the rest of SoA. Yeah, okay, we can turn up the hype a little bit. It's been a while since we last saw this build coming in. Reminds me and takes me back to 2016 when it was actually a much more common sight. So there is, of course, a reason. Oh, look at that stun, almost connecting here with the Immortal. But there is a reason for it, Tetra. Can you talk us through the build for those of you guys who weren't really, you know, around maybe a year ago?
So there was two versions of the build. For starters, Sledgehammer basically increases your damage of your Stormbolt by 300%, I believe it is.
Yep.
Whenever you hit a non-hero. So minion, structure, Immortal, in this case, it will do an extra 300% damage. That does stack with the damage you get from Perfect Storm. So we saw two different builds. We saw the Piercing Bolt, where basically there was the opportunity for you to get a big amount of burst damage onto enemy heroes and gain double stacks at the same time with the level 7 talent. And then you saw the Ironforge Momentum build, where basically you just get as many stacks as you can and then just auto-attack the Immortal while spamming Q and do huge damage. And of course, brilliant for sieging forts, where you have a minion wave with you. You can just drop like 500 damage per Q, which could stack up to several thousand.
Now, the War of Attrition here is being won by SPT. They've got more mana available, they've got greater poke with the Li Ming, and of course the Vala as well, and slowly but surely they chipped down that fort. And you could really see that sometimes if you don't go back to base in time, you're gonna be stuck with a low amount of mana, rendering you unable to actually defend structures, and as such SoA should have maybe gone back a little bit sooner. As it is though, 1 fort down, not really in the world, but already managing to get a nice chunk of XP lead here, SPT that is.
So Muradin, Ironforge Momentum, or Piercing Bolt. Ironforge Momentum, so it's the maximum Immortal damage build as opposed to the double stun stacking teamfight build for just pure late game. This is a little bit safer here. And
definitely.
We're going to see SPT, speaking of safe, choosing to wait a little bit for their Merc camp, but they finally do pick that up. Li Ming is going for Calamity. Now the question may be asked here, why go for Aether Walker and Calamity? The second you take damage, you lose Aether Walker, and you can lose a bit of value there. And the reasoning for this is very simple, and the word is Tyrael, Sanctification. If you are invulnerable, you take no damage. If you can time this before Aether Walker is denied, then you can just continuously get a couple Calamities in a fight before you lose that Aether Walker trait. And of course, it still gives you very decent mobility around the map once you take Illusionist later on. And of course, Iron Skin, Diamond Skin, which they could take if they start getting blown up.
Yeah, but only if the game is not going in your favor, I feel. If the game is going fairly smoothly and you know, kind of well, I think
don't need diamonds.
Exactly. There's no reason for you to actually pick it up. But we see Melody C being extremely cheeky, not afraid to use the teleport just to prevent a potential aggression play from SparkPZ, casually dropping that Stormbolt, and the immediate response coming in here with ETC going for the power slide. Cleanse was used if my eyes didn't cheat on me, so that is already a major cooldown to be on the lookout for.
Mortal halfway point once again is it's actually owned by SoA here. They're able to kill the Immortal a little bit quicker this time. Faye, though, getting locked down, drops a Whirlwind, getting a huge amount of healing, keeping himself sustained. Vala's looking for the opportunity to try and turn it round. Zhen Zhao trying to kill someone, but able to do so. Sonya's still alive. Muradin took about half health worth of damage. Once again, his trait will restore him back a little bit quicker than most heroes.
Li Ming, in the meantime, dropping those spells from a safe distance. And you can really see how SparkBZ in the Merton was trying to actively avoid the spells, so he would leech up a little bit more from his second wind trait, as Tetris said. So normally the Warriors want to intercept those Li Ming spells in order to prevent the damage done to an Immortal, but in this very case, I think it was a smart move not to do it. Now they're in tip-top condition, though. Full health, almost full mana for all of the heroes. And you can see a battle going down in the bottom lane. Tyrael against Tassador. Both of those guys want to soak that additional amount of XP that could really give them 10 a little bit quicker.
Yeah, okay, the slowest battle of all time. It looks like it's going to be Tassadar who rotates up a little bit slower as Tyrael moves his way in. No level 10 available yet, but make sure he is here for his team as there is too much scuffling going on for him to attempt the soak. ETC does move down to grab a fountain though, so the slight delay once again. And the longer this goes on, the better it will go for SPT, because Li Ming and Valor Poke will just slowly whittle down SoA, because we did mention they have the superior poking ability. But mana is proving to be an issue at this point, as Misaka takes some harassment as SoA once again start to creep forward. Tass and Tyrael have just rotated again and have gone to top lane.
Yeah, something that's really cool to see here as well is that the amount of sustain that Rhaegar brings to the table is just far superior to Kharazim, because Kharazim drops very low on mana if he uses his abilities all the time, especially if he goes Iron Fist build. Whereas Rhaegar still has that healing totem available that gives you a lot of value. Now, Misaka dropping dangerously low, but SoA is too afraid to go all in just yet because level 10 is about to commence. No, it comes earlier for SoA because Sonya got the kill in the backline. Faye with a MVP massive play.
Immediately moving on to the Immortal with Wrath of the Berserker activated. Everything else is held.
Nice.
They get the Immortal, and SoA, can they end the 100% win rate of SPT on this map? Let us see, as they have Archon, Wrath of the Berserker, Avatar, the go for the throat and the ancestral healing, whereas SPT have Divine Palm, Sanctification, the Mosh Pit, Disintegrate, and still a question mark for Valor. Both would be fine here. Strafe would be a little bit more damage. Rain of Vengeance isn't going to affect Sonya as much, but it can still affect Tassadar, and it is Rain of Vengeance.
Yeah, I agree with that choice. I think it's good to keep those aggressive Sonya and Murden plays at bay here, but beautiful start by SoA, actually coming in swinging here, and who might be able to take this forward easy peasy. Yeah, Tyrael
will go down. Sledgehammer not even needing to be used there, but once again, this is a thing that Muradin can now do. He's already built up an okay amount of stacks, like I think he's on like 4 or 5, which is not the best, but all damage is good damage when it's increased by 300%.
Sonya once again coming in. That Poison Spear, man, when it lands on a squishy backliner like Vala, it's gonna hurt quite a bit. And as a result, I really think that SoA did a good job. I mean, SPT didn't really fall behind too much in terms of XP because Tyrael was soaking top in the meantime, but still, getting structures out of the way is going to pave the way for future engages. And for a team that has yet to win a single game on Battlefield of Eternity, SoA is looking mighty good.
However, SPT, they are still looking to keep some control. They're able to take the Kazaras up in the top lane. SoA, they still have a little bit of control. They're creeping ahead in XP, but it's not a significant amount. A kill or two from SPT will just turn this back on its head.
Seeing those banners being popped left and right, by the way, did you read the patch notes of the upcoming patch notes? Of the upcoming patches? I think they want to implement a change to those banners in which you're going to see the player's name on it who actually captured that objective.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, I think Bakery from Team Dignitas made a post about it, and he was very excited about that change, and so am I. I think it's a nice amount of extra recognition and, you know, a little bit of attention that gets towards your great plays.
Yep, completely agreed. Super happy about that idea. That is really cool. Melody C, hiding out, being cheeky, checking for rotations and not wanting to die. As SparkBZ will find a Kharazim and gets himself another stack.
Indeed, so things are looking pretty good for SoA. 13 is around the corner. So far, they haven't really taken too much damage on that top lane, but that might about to change here because SPT is posturing up and sieging up quite nicely.
Another stun by SparkBZ, continuing that good harassment. Keeping his mana very under control, being very patient with his Storm Bolts here, which is working out in his favor. They are 4 here, SoA. They are just playing for the defense and to not die and gain Muradin stacks, because Sonya isn't pushing, but she's certainly soaking bot lane. She's managed to push it up as far as it will go, meaning it kind of does have to be a reacted. Nailed it, as they do see SPT having to move in for the offense here, and SoA coming in for the defense with 3 heroes, while leaving their 2 highest damage ones to try and race. And they do actually lose the race, but they were able to at least slow down SPT.
Yeah, they forced SPT to go back, take a sip from the healing fountain, so that's going to give them a little bit of time to poke up here and deal a little bit of damage at least. Keep in mind, though, that Sonya, by the way, went for the Spell Shield at level 13, which is not really something we're used to seeing all the time, but against Li Ming, as you said, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Life Funnel would have been nice, but you're against ETC, it's going to be interrupted quite a bit. And here we go, Faye moving in. Rain of Vengeance does interrupt it just a little bit. Sanctification, immediate retreat out of SoA, burning that Sanctification timing and a cocktail to follow it up, so they get a little bit of poke damage out of it too.
Did I just hear a 5 millisecond mosh pit? I think that was a mistake. It was triggered and cancelled immediately.
It did. It might have been stunned, but either way, it's gone. Yeah, that's an excellent point. Wow, that's bad news. That is bad news for SoA, as for SPT, sorry, as SoA are slowly cocktailing down the Immortal. This will take approximately forever, but they can do it. And in fact, SoA are either going to just spend the time that they have a little bit more control to grab fountains where they need to, but an immediate reaction from SPT is to move on to that Immortal. Yeah. SoA moving out. They know Sank is gone. They know Mosh is gone. Or they might know Mosh is gone. They might have missed it as they try to move in. They're trying to make some kind of play here. If they don't know Mosh is gone, then this is a disaster. If they missed it like I did,
could of course happen, but of course they have 5 players, and hopefully one of them is going to, or was going to realize it. Yeah. All right, cooldowns are starting to refresh here for SoA. Only the Avatar is still left, so I think they're ready to fight. Still 30 seconds until Sanctification is ready. 47 until we have another potential mosh pit. I'm not sure why SoA is this passive, to be honest.
Immediate move onto Muradin, like you said, no Avatar. They were 2 split. No. Melody C though. Oh! Procs it, and Melody C lives. The palm saving him. SoA are still going to try and race down the Immortal as quick as they can. They need to back up though. Mosh in 26 seconds.
Still a lot of damage done.
Alive. TY diving in, gets a shield, gets some armor from that shield. Ancestral is good and disengages out of there. Uncle G's retreating too. He's out of mana. They will finish off the Immortal here. Beautifully done, and they kill Soap. If they can get out of here, this is amazing here. Oh, TY gets detonated on. Faye nearly dies as well, but the Tash shield keeps him alive. Good dimensional shift. And SoA, there's no way they're really going to be able to push with this, but they at least were able to get the Immortal, and they're continuing at least some semblance of control of this game.
I can't believe how well SoA managed to salvage the situation with Muradin dying so quickly because Avatar wasn't ready. They still showed no signs of, you know, fear or respect for SPT. They just took this 4 versus fight Immortal fight, no problem. But the mosh pit comes in, no interrupt. Only Tassadar here. He's gonna have to watch his allies die in vain. Oh man, that was rough.
Well, fought for a kill. Sonya goes
still
down.
Worth it.
We
Still worth it.
See SoA run away, and they're just going to try and get any mercs they can. Greymane only just came back. That was a 4v4, but now on the map it is 5v4 with SPT. Actually, it looks like they were thinking about moving in, but the ping... Actually, no, the ping was from SoA. So yeah, SoA just positioning Muradin to zone out if SPT do come to try and interrupt that Fallen Shaman camp. They cap it very early because they need any kind of clear on this top lane because it's continuously pressured by minions.
Right. Actually, the more I think of it, the more I think it was a good trade for SoA. That mosh pit is a long cooldown. Oh my goodness, TY.
Oh my
Wrong
God.
Neighborhood, buddy.
So much damage.
Yeah.
And Avatar having to be popped as well to keep SmartBZ alive. And SPT, despite like losing the objective repeatedly, are still 3 kills ahead and are finally going to take down a fort and even up the fort count.
Now, I basically take back what I said earlier. Now it's not worth it anymore, because if they had just gotten a fort out of it and forced the mosh pit as a result as well, it would have been very valuable of a trade. But now that SPT got a fort in return, balancing things out, it was not worth it. I'm not sure why TY was going in that deeply, with Tassadar not even being close. He was doing the mercenary camp at the bottom. A little bit of a communication mistake, I think, on the side of SoA, but that's exactly what could happen sometimes when you play against an ETC who's using mosh pit. Mosh pit is down, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, we can basically do whatever we want, but that's not the case. There's still so many DPS sources here available for SPT, so much threat potential, and they just made SoA look goofy.
Yes, they did. And that is potentially bad news, especially now that Muradin's actually in even more danger thanks to Blood for Blood. Uncle G, so much focus here. He's getting taken out. The sack dropped as well to prevent any help. And the speed of rotations and the absolute commitment coming in is beautiful. The mosh pit was very solid. Not able to kill anyone yet, though. But TY gets dropped, and this is turning into a massacre.
Oh,
Tass even dies. Muradin, the only survivor, pops a stone's form to try and stay alive, but it's not enough. Full team wipe for nothing. And SPT are just going to go for a keep.
Yeah, they're going to go for the keep, and if they kill it very quickly, they might even go for the keep, for the core. Yeah, I think that's a core call right there. They have so much damage with the Vala, so much hard-hitting auto attacks, so much sustained damage with the Ming poke as well. I think, Tetra, that might be it.
That is it, and they looked so good throughout the game, but the invincible line of SPT, they continue their 100% win rate on Battlefield of Eternity as the score goes to 1-1.
Here we go. It is a victory for SPT. Well played. The streak remains intact.